All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something that might surprise some people.
Okay.
Talking about factoring,
Interesting.
but not in the way you might usually think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Usually people think about factoring when it comes to larger businesses, but we're going to be talking about it in relation to startups and how they can really use it to their advantage.
Makes sense.
And our source material today is a YouTube video by Chris Lenz from Versant Funding.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It shines a light on how factoring can really be a secret weapon for startups.
You got that right.
Now, for anyone who's not familiar with factoring, just in general, could you give us a little overview of what exactly that is?
Okay, so imagine you're a startup. You've landed this huge deal. It's going to really change your business.
Huge.
Yeah. But there's one problem. The client, they want to pay on net 30 terms, meaning you're not going to see that money for 30 days.
Yeah, that's brutal for a startup.
It can be a cash flow killer, especially for a new business that's trying to grow.
Right? You got payroll, you got expenses.
Exactly, and that's where a factoring company comes in.
Like Versant Funding.
Exactly like Versant Funding. They'll actually purchase that invoice from you, the startup.
So they just take it off your hands?
Pretty much.
Right.
They give you cash up front, minus a fee, of course, and then they collect the full amount from the client when those 30 days are up.
So instead of waiting a month to get paid, the startup gets most of the money right away.
Exactly.
But wouldn't it be better to just wait or
Right.
try to get a traditional loan?
That's the thing with startups.
Yeah.
Traditional loans can be really tough to get. You often don't have that long credit history that banks are looking for, or the collateral.
You're just starting out.
Right. And factoring, it kind of sidesteps those requirements.
Mhm.
It looks more at the credit worthiness of your client, the one who owes you money.
Not so much you.
Exactly. And you get that cash right away, which, as we said, is so crucial for growth.
Makes sense. Now, in the YouTube video, Chris uses the example of a seafood startup that lands a deal with a big grocery chain.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
That seems like a perfect scenario for factoring.
It is. The grocery chain, they want to pay in 30 days, which, puts the startup in a tough spot.
Definitely.
So Versant steps in, buys the invoice from the startup, and gives them 75% of the value up front.
So they can cover expenses, maybe buy more inventory, all that.
Exactly, without waiting that whole month for payment.
So after 30 days, the grocery chain pays Versant, and the startup gets the remaining 25% minus the fee.
That's how it works.
Now, the fee structure, that's always been something we've been a little curious about.
Yeah, I get that.
How does that usually work? What kind of percentages are we talking?
Well, Chris mentioned around 2.5% per month in the video,
Okay.
but it can definitely vary. It depends on the industry, the size of the invoice, and how risky the client seems.
Like if they have a history of not paying.
Exactly. Startups really need to do their research, compare different factoring companies to find the best deal for them.
Shop around. So it seems like factoring can be a lifeline for startups, especially in those early days when you're really watching every dollar.
Absolutely. It gives them access to capital they might not be able to get otherwise, allows them to take on bigger clients and grow much faster.
And it helps build those crucial relationships,
It's true, but it's not a perfect solution, of course.
Right.
There are downsides. The fees can cut into your profits, and if a client doesn't pay, the factoring company might come knocking on your door for the money,
Oh, well.
depending on the terms of the agreement, whether it was recourse or non-recourse.
Okay, so there's some important legal stuff there.
Yeah, definitely something startups need to understand before they jump in.
What I think is really fascinating is that companies like Versant, they're willing to work with businesses that have barely been around,
Yeah.
like less than a year.
They're not focused on the startup's track record as much as on the client's ability to pay.
It's a different way of thinking about it.
It really is. It shows how financing models are changing to support startups.
It's almost like they're saying, we believe in you, even if the banks don't.
Yeah, I like that.
So to sum it all up, factoring can be a really powerful tool for startups that are dealing with cash flow issues.
Yeah, especially those who are working with those larger clients that demand those longer payment terms.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like a bridge between landing that big deal and actually having the cash to fulfill it.
Makes you think about all the other creative ways startups can work with larger companies, right?
Yeah, like what are some strategies beyond just financing that could help them in this situation?
That's a question worth thinking about.
It is, definitely.